Welcome back, everyone. I'm here again with Dr. David Morehouse. We're going to talk a little bit today about the history of the remote viewing program, and we're going to also go back to David's experiences in the special access program he worked on in the 80s and 90s. And we'll kind of continue from where we left off in the last episode. So, David, in terms of the history of the remote viewing program, even long before your time, how did this all come about?
That's a really good question. And I will tell you this, that there are my view of the history of this program is a view and an understanding of it, not because I went through it, because I joined in late 86, 87, and I was there 87, 88, 89, and left in 90 to go to another special access program before going to Commander General Staff College. So there are far better historians of the program than I might be. But I don't withhold anything that I do know, which others may, to protect certain things. I can say that I know this from either the historical files or from, my experience being there. And I'm not, cobbling any of it together in terms of, let me see what sounds good. It's just what I know or what I've been told or what I experienced myself. There are books by former colleagues like Paul Smith and maybe Joe McMoneagle, but I think probably Paul Smith is probably the best historian of it. And I would say that because he was there the longest. I think Paul Smith was there like 15 years of an Army career as a military intelligence officer. So, and I get it, I mean, I understand why he did. And to defend his decision to do, I just want to say this. I know it's kind of off topic, but I want people to know that I have a lot of respect for the guy. We're not friends, but I have a lot of respect for him and a great appreciation for them as a father and as a military officer who served in the capacity that he did. His wife, this is common knowledge, but his first wife left him. He had, I think, 3 children. And now he became a single father who was also an Army officer. That has to be a tough, that has to be a tough road to walk. I know that he was very diligent about, he got him up every morning, got him to bed, got him off to school. He came over to the remote viewing unit, and then he, got ready and went off to the Defense Intelligence College working on a master's degree, and then came back again. Was typically there for lunch when the kids came home, if they came home for lunch, and he was certainly there every night when the kids came home from school. And he's an accomplished artist. He paints like the kinds of stuff Ingo Swann did, but much more cosmic artist. That's what he refers to himself as. He's also a musician, and he was a fine remote viewer. He really was. And I looked at everything he did that was done while I was there anyway, and before. He wrote a book. He was very upset that I wrote Psychic Warrior. I think I was told by Lynn Buchanan, the very first words out of his mouth were, I wanted to write that book, meaning what he wanted to do was be the first guy to, expose it. But I know that he wouldn't have exposed it because he wouldn't have done that because he was an active duty Army officer, but he had a family to take care of, as did I, but he just wasn't going to cross that line. He was an intel officer. You know what I mean? And I know that when he got out, he's still protecting clearance. I'm sure that he's still protecting clearance. So there are certain things that guys are doing that, protecting clearances, and associations with CIA or DIA won't tell you and won't do. But he wrote in Seeing Into the Mind of My Enemy, which I read. He did a very definitive history. But then somebody else like Dale Graff will come along and write their definitive version of the history. There were people that fell out of the woodwork that I had no idea if they actually ever were in the program. Certainly the name was never mentioned while I was there. But suddenly there's a book out and they're claiming to have been part of the remote viewing program. I know that Joe McMonigal and Skip Atwater were there. Joe McMonigal was a remote viewer. Skip Atwater was an operations officer, certainly still, understood and trained in remote viewing, but not necessarily considered or used as a remote viewer. And I also know that in the training of the remote viewers, that there were different levels that they were trained at. Like Paul Smith recently admitted to someone asking the question that he had only been trained up to stage 3 of a 6-stage protocol by Ingo Swann. Now, I know that Ed Dames was trained by Ingo Swann as well, and I know he was trained in all 6 stages. I don't know where Lynn Buchanan, who trained Lynn Buchanan. I don't think it was Ingo Swann. And I don't know who trained Gabrielle Pettengill. I don't know. But she trained me all the way to stage 6. And I know that Angela and Robin in the unit were trained in coordinated remote viewing up to stage 6 and then opted to do something different. And Mel Riley went all the way to stage 6 because you saw some of his sketches, right? Mm-hmm. The complex quality, sketches that are called geospatial sketches, dimensional sketches. So there are many other people that were in that unit much, much longer than I who have a better sense of the history of that unit, and I'm okay with that.
If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like, subscribe, and notification buttons. Additionally, if you have any feedback, please put something in the comments below. And lastly, if you want to watch the full episode of this clip, you can find it above. Thanks again for watching.